Alright guys, Mike here, and today I'll be reviewing these two products in front of you, the Firestorm Armada rulebook and the Firestorm Armada Aquan Prime starter set. So let's get that out of the way and we'll start with the rulebook. I'm a big sucker for all things science fiction and spaceships and space and all of that. So I had to have a go and I had to get this rulebook. And you see it's got a really beautiful cover. It's very thick. Well, it's obviously not as thick as say Warhammer 40,000's rulebook or something like that. It's about 100 pages long. But I've yet to actually play the game. I've watched numerous battle reports of it, and I like the system. Before I'd even decided to get these rules, but I've read the whole rulebook. And it's a beautiful rulebook. It's done really well. It's got it might be difficult to show, like full colour pictures and diagrams, and it just goes step by step through all the different areas needed to play the game. There's these beautiful diagrams here to show you what's what. It's got a decent amount of fluff at the beginning of the book, so you can theme, if you were getting the miniatures, you could, or building an army, a fleet, you could, there's enough room there to create your own fluff, your own story, as well as, adapt what's already there. And it was quite a good read. And the rules are really straightforward. I do like the rule set. One of the couple of good things about this rule book is that it gives these large true scale pages of 3 different fleets that you can then photocopy and cut out, so you don't even have to buy any miniatures to play this game. You can just use the rulebook, which is that's a really nice touch. They've also got a similar thing at the back. Hang on, you see here's another fleet of ships. They also mention on the actual page itself that you can just go to their website and download the PDF, so you're not having to photocopy a book or cut into it or anything. It's got full stat listings for all the fleets, even the ones that weren't out at the time that this book was made, which is kind of cool. It's got a whole section on constructing your own ship construction and points wise. So you could just make up an entire fleet of ships essentially with this. It's kind of like it gives a lot of freedom to design your own stuff. You're not fixed, you're not limited. And at the very back there's a whole load of counters and templates. Again, you can get these from their website, but it's nice that they've included them in the book. But you're going to have to photocopy them, because if you cut them out, you're going to be cutting into the other page on the other side. Overall, I really like this book. It's relatively cheap. It's nice full colour all the way through. There's beautiful diagrams and pictures throughout. I love the rule set. There's one thing I didn't quite get was it started to get a bit complicated when dealing with flights and wings of fighters and bombers and how they interact, and that section of the rule I had to read a couple times to try and wrap my head around, and I still don't really know how all these interactions will work. It won't play in the game, whereas when dealing with just the ships themselves, from what I've seen in battle reports, it's really straightforward. There's a lot of depth to what can happen, because you're rolling on charts that can cause criticals. In fact, that's the other thing this rulebook comes with. It comes with this lovely laminated thick cardstock rules at a glance, so you don't have to keep looking up the rulebook. Essentially, there's all the rules you really need, and at the back is a big chart of all the different critical effects that can happen. So I'll read one of these off. Raging fire. So if you score a critical on a ship, you have to place a fire token on the ship, and you lose some crew and hull points. And then it's kind of every turn, or when that ship's activated, if you have a chance to put the fire out. But if you don't, you can just carry on and start causing a mess. And they stack as well. You can get like several fire tokens, and that's just that kind of little bit of chaos, a little bit of you don't know what's going to happen when you got hit. I really like, and I love the fact that the way the ships are activated, it's not an I go you go for the whole, you don't move your attack of your whole fleet. and then they get to move and attack. You're just alternating activations between your ships and theirs throughout the turn. So by turn 2, that can be where most of the damage is going down, and it's and by turn 3 the game's usually over. But I really like this rulebook. I can't wait to play. I might print off those templates online and mount them on some thick cardstock, and then get some games on. But so I'll move on to the next product, which was the one I bought at the same time, was just an Aquan Prime starter set, and I really I went for these because I love the shape of the ships, very sort of alien looking, very very aquatic looking. I guess that's what they're aiming for. And I can foresee just doing some really nice paint schemes on these with using my airbrush, and inspired by like sea life and fish, and the way you can have crazy colours and patterns and textures. I thought these would be really good to paint up. So I've actually already taken the miniatures out, but in the box you get another thick laminated cardstock with a construction instructions, but they're all one-piece ships for these, so that's pretty simple. And then all their stats handily on the back, so you can, at a glance you can just have that in front of you. Next is a whole load of counters, all colour coordinated for their particular fleet. So I guess the other fleets would have different colours. So if you're playing with a mate, they'd have different coloured ones of these. But there's all the wings you'd need, like fighters, bombers, and mines, and all the other stuff. So that's nice that comes in. It would be nice if they could punch out. So you'd have to cut these yourself, but I guess it's better than nothing. And again, some more counters. These were the same as what's in the back of the rulebook. Again, you have to cut these out yourself, which is, and it's a bit flimsy, but I guess you could always mount them on card. That's what I'd probably do. So you get them, which is good. You also get a whole load of these acrylic flight stands, and you obviously get the ships. Now, this is where things start to turn sour for me. I don't know if it was just the set that I got, or whether this affects a lot of the these Aquan Prime starter sets, but basically there was a lot of problems I found with these ships. So first things first, let's get the battleship out. It's my favourite ship of all of them. In fact, see, there's the acrylic flight stands. Get to them in a minute. So straight away, first thing I looked at, I was like, wow, this is stunning. But then I noticed that this tail piece was missing, and in fact, like all the ships, they just come in bubble wrap, and inside the bubble wrap there was a piece of resin, and it turns out that the tail had got broken, and it just got snapped. But because of the way it snapped, it was such a clean cut that you couldn't, I don't know if you could. You might not be able to see the seam. You shouldn't be able to see the seam anyway. Basically, I just had to super glue it back together. But so that's obviously got damaged in transit, and I was a bit like, oh, well, that's a shame, it's broke. Oh well, I can stick it back on. But then what I also noticed is that there was some really bad flashing around here, this entire area, and basically, in the process of getting rid of where the injection sort of pin is at the front, where the resin was poured, I had to sand away all whatever detail was here. It was all badly misformed, and then I had to spend a lot of time see if you can get that, rescribing panel lines between the two sections. You can see there all the way around, just to get the detail back, which is, I wasn't really expecting to have to go and do that much work on the miniature. Oh, I guess it's a miniature, but it's a big ship. It was relatively easy too. It was just time consuming, so that's over there. Then the next ships I looked at were the cruisers, a bit smaller. Again, I loved the design of them, but then there was a lot of problems with these. This one, for example, I don't know if you can tell, the nose. I've had to resculpt the nose. Come on, camera. Well, basically the nose was missing off this one, and the nose is where the injection, the plug is for the others. But this one, I thought, oh, it's broke again, and I looked inside the bag, and there was no part. It hadn't broken in transit. It must have broken before it was even packed, because there was no bit in there where it had broken off. It was just not there. So that really annoyed me. That's saying to me that someone's packed this with the nose already broken and just shoved it in there. So I wasn't happy with that. I've had to try and re-sculpt it as best I can. And additionally, on all of these cruisers, all of this length here was completely messed up. It was like misaligned. Some of the this cruiser in particular, if you look, this one? If you look down the length of it, the bottom is misaligned with the top. It's it's off center. There was really bad flash. It's completely ruined there was these tiny raised area details that basically were ruined by it. So I've had to get rid of the rest of them just to make it look symmetrical. And then also along the bottom, I've had to do loads of more sculpting work at the front to get rid of these massive gouges that were going into the resin and huge bubbles where the pin was connecting. I took it off and there was air bubbles and these weird, it looked like the resin had been sliced into and it just curled up. It's really not happy with these how much work had to go into these particular ships, and I was really disappointed at the fact that I've seen other videos of other people's Firestorm Armada stuff, and it just looked like there was a bit of flash, took it off, no problem, done. Whereas I've had to do loads of bloody re-sculpting, and imagine someone who didn't know how to do that or wasn't that experienced. They wouldn't know what they're doing. And then but anyway, enough of them. Then on to the smallest ships, the frigates. Now these are all metal. Now these at first glance looked alright. I had to get rid of some of the flash around the sides, just file it away. But what I noticed is that on all of them there's this one panel line just there that on this one it's not so bad, but on the majority of them it's just gone all wrong. That one panel line, I don't know if you can see, get the it's just, what do I do with that? I know it's metal, it's a bit harder to work with, and it's a bit, that's painted up, it's going to look weird, like this weird wobbly misformed panel line. But out of all of them, I guess these were the easiest to sort out, except for that panel line. But then I noticed that underneath, taking acrylic flight stand that they've supplied, the hole underneath, there's no way that goes in. That's just not happening, and I'm not sure how to make that work. And I've tried to use a drill bit of the appropriate size, but I've got no way to really drill into there with it. I'm going to have to probably use a Dremel or some sort of other power tool to get in and just make that hole that much bigger and not misformed on the inside, just so I can mount them on the flight stand. So there's another problem I'm going to have to figure out how to solve. And then obviously lastly, the flight stands themselves, they look nice. I'm probably going to end up painting them black because this just attracts thumbnail marks, and even on a black surface they just reflect the light. They don't really become transparent. But the worst part of these, again another problem I've discovered, is that these individual rods, trying to put them into the hole in the bottom, I guess they're meant to be a snug fit, but literally you'd be trying to put them in and you'd just be fearing you're going to snap this in half trying to get it in there. So what I have to do is get a drill bit and just with my hand just get the hole out a bit more, shove it in then, and then it would fit, and then I'd have to then glue it. But then by gluing it you sort of ruin the transparency of it. But I guess because I'm going to paint them anyway, it's not that big a deal. So yeah, that's a kind of another little thing I didn't really like. So overall, it's kind of, I love the miniatures, I love the design. I don't know if this is like a really bad set of them, or if it was just a bit miscast or whatever. I was really annoyed by the nose on that one that's just missing. I was really panicking on how to fix that. But hopefully, when I'll airbrush them up, I was thinking of a nice metallic scheme for them. They should look all right. But overall, I'd give them like a 3, maybe 2 out of 5. But maybe that's just me. Maybe it's just that particular set. If anyone else has got these and and they've had the same problems. I'd like to know how they fixed them, or whether if it's just me. But so overall a bit unhappy with the miniatures, but not because of what they look like, just because of the problems that obviously were there. But the rulebook, spot on. Love the rulebook. So hopefully that will make up for these bit miscast miniatures. So stay tuned for any more reviews I decide to do in the future. Take it easy, guys. Bye bye.